So I say just don't use that word. You just confuse people. Just talk about adequate evidence for knowledge.
Now, I would like to talk about the difference between evidence and proof. Some Christians often say that they have proof of God's existence. Is that the case?
Yeah, here's what I tell my students. Don't use the word proof in my class. Here's why. And I also say don't use the phrase true for us in my class. We're out to get rid of those uses. Unless you're doing math or logic, we're not doing proofs. We aren't. You don't do proofs for existing persons like you, me, God, and so on. You don't. You don't find your way there by proofs because they aren't objects of math or logic. And any attempt to give a proof will fall short because you're going to find that the evidence is not mathematical or purely mathematical or logical. So just throw the word away and talk about good evidence. Then you won't confuse people. And you can then say, no problem, because the sciences don't work by mathematical or logical proof either. They work by best explanation on the basis of experiential evidence. That's what the sciences do. I mean the natural sciences, of course. And math and logic are in a different category. And the reason I say that is because in math and logic, there's a big focus on the purely definitional. You start with the definitions in geometry, you formulate those definitions, and then you try to formulate some axioms on the basis of those definitions, and then you draw inferences. That's the way the story goes in geometry. That's not how it goes in theological knowledge or in scientific knowledge. It's empirical in these other domains in this sense. It requires evidence from experience for its premises, and its inferences are often non-deductive. They don't give you the kind of airtight connection between premises and conclusion that you should get in typical math and logic. So I say just don't use that word. You just confuse people. Just talk about adequate evidence for knowledge.
Great. Now, if we don't have a proof of God's existence, can we as a Christians claim to have certainty of God's existence? Or will that be a mistake?
It depends on what you mean by certainty. We don't have logical certainty. We can imagine that all of our experience is a dream, is a hallucination, or that's logically coherent. The whole thing could be just a dream. That's logically coherent. There's no contradiction in assuming that. And so what? We know a lot of things that don't admit of any kind of logical proof. All of our scientific knowledge could be but a dream. But we don't say, therefore, we don't know. We say, therefore, we don't have mathematical or logical knowledge in those domains. But that's no surprise. Those domains are talking about existing objects in an empirical world, or a world at least of broad experience. And so when you get back to Plato, who was influenced by Parmenides, you get the extreme view that if you don't have something like pure certainty, you don't have knowledge. So you can't have knowledge of any changing reality. Well, that's just a bias. And he got it from Parmenides, who said that if there's any change, you don't have reality. That's just false. And why Plato bought that extreme claim is just a mystery, and it undermines his whole system. Aristotle bought it too, and it undermines his system. And Parmenides is the culprit. They went along with his view that reality can't change. Reality must be perfect, and what's perfect can't change. There's no reason to hold that view. In fact, there's every reason to reject it. Something can be real and change. In fact, you're going to be morally imperfect if you don't have some change, because you need to adapt your caring response to a world that changes. So we need to let go of the kind of mathematical immutability model that Plato promoted along with Aristotle on the basis of Parmenides. It's messed up so much theology and left so many people confused, but you must kick it away. It's just confused.